What's up YouTube? True Evil here, back with another Neverness to Everness video. Today we're going to be talking about all of the mistakes I made while progressing and what I would have done differently so you don't fall into the same pitfalls that I did personally. I've also asked my whale friends what were some pitfalls that they hit at rank 40 so we can make sure we are prepared for the next stage in the game, since most people who have played every day since launch are between hunter rank 28 and 35. So without further ado, let's get in on it. The first thing I want to talk about is the AFK cafe, because although I'm very far along in terms of the level of the cafe itself, I did make one mistake that is hindering my progress and is costing me quite a bit of funds as well as quality of life, and that is through the management guide. Now, the management guide is really important to do because it's going to net you a ton of dreamless seeds. And if you've just been progressing through it naturally, most of these tasks are things that are going to come as you, play through the game, and you don't need to worry about them. But at 810, and there isn't a task like this after 810, but at 810, you have to have 3 characters with level 5 City Esper abilities, and it can't just be any character. It has to be characters that work in the cafe. So characters like Hathor, Fadia, the main character, those do not count on those 3 characters that you need level 5 City Esper abilities with. And the big thing here is, although you're going to want to upgrade some of those characters, because Hathor's level 5 is arguably the most useful in the game, right? Because it lets you do a city delivery every day for free, which is just going to help you burn like around 50 stamina every day. So like, that is just so huge. But the thing is if you focus on this first, you're going to get so many dreamless seeds from it that, well, you're going to be able to get Hathor to level 5 as well as have other characters at level 5. So even though I decided to go with that quality of life character first, if I had just done this, well, I would have had all of that Fawn's extra cash money flow plus Hathor for the quality of life because of the dreamless seeds I get. And you might be saying to yourself, if you saw how many dreamless seeds I had, is like, True Evil, there's no way you would have had enough dreamless seeds. But I would have, because another mistake I did was I leveled every single character up to level 3, which is definitely not what you would want to do for this. So what I would recommend to do in terms of leveling up your life skills is characters like the main character that increases how much you get for bond per item. Make sure you have that at a level, but don't get it to level 5, right? There's no need to have the main character maxed out to level 5 because most people aren't at bond 8 yet, except if you spent a lot of money to get bond level 10 because you wanted the outfit. For most people, what I would recommend to do, especially free-to-play light spenders, is get everyone in the cafe at level 1, because this is going to net you a lot of money with the level 1. And then the characters that you used for owner selection on abilities, like maybe Adler and Skia, use them to boost to level 5, because although people are going to say do Hanyul because she doesn't have an owner selection, so it's a little bit more money. At this point, if you already have them at level 3, these are pretty much the exact same. So you just want to make sure you have 3 characters at level 5, and then go back and level everyone to level 1, level 2. Don't just level everyone to level 3. Now, the reason I did level 3 was, when looking at this, level 4 and level 5 cost just a ton more dreamless seeds than the others, so I thought I would be getting more fawns if I got everything to level 3. This ended up not being true. Should have just gotten level 1 on everyone, 3 characters with level 5, and then maxed out Hathor and all those other goodies. So be sure to do that. And there's one thing else I will point out, because for a couple of people that I talked to, they didn't know about this, which is, if you go to management and you do this, you actually get more fawns through the popularity. So you want to make sure every single one of your cafes has max popularity at 750. This is pretty easy to do. All you have to do is go to the furniture store, and you can buy 3 of these at the later ones, 2 on the earlier ones, and then find the cheapest posters possible in terms of decor, buy them all and spam them until you get that 750 at the rest. Super easy to do. I wouldn't worry about making the cafes kawaii right now. Just make sure you're getting that maximum flow going. So that's everything with the cafe. The biggest thing, of course, is making sure you have those 3 characters at level 5, but make sure you're doing this too, because this is going to end up being a lot more fawns than you realize. The next thing I want to talk about is going to deal with Beyond the Rails, and more specifically, how to go about building 2 teams for this in-game mode, because there's a lot of pitfalls that you can fall into this. I'm personally definitely going to be able to 3-star everything by those 26 days, but I did level up a couple of units that are going to hinder my progress in terms of leveling up my teams, because with the 2 teams, there are a lot of things that you need to consider with this in-game mode, and knowing about it beforehand is going to really help you use your resources in the correct way. So let's talk about that. So for the teams for Beyond the Rails, you do need 2 teams, and one thing while I was progressing through the standard tower is they started being weak to Psyche. So I thought it was a good idea to build Aurelia up. I highly recommend not doing this and actually on those floors use Cheese instead, because Cheese is actually going to be able to out DPS him because of how she uses fixed damage. She's just really overtuned, it feels like, currently at this stage of the game, so you're definitely going to want Cheese for one of your main DPSs. There are 2 teams that are needed to clear this, so one of them is going to be this, and because the limited version of Beyond the Rails, they take 30% extra damage from Anima and Cosmos DPSs, so you want your second DPS to be Anima. And what I highly recommend is going to be Mint, just because she's a free-to-play choice, and she's going to be able to clear all of those in-game modes. So she's definitely a safe character. Don't feel FOMO to pull Nonly. I personally pulled Nonly just because I like her character, but you know, first limited character in games like this, they usually get power crept super quickly, so I got the Battle Pass arc for her and not her actual weapon, because even though we get a lot of pulls in this game, I am a little skeptical on if it's worth fully building her. So I got the Battle Pass weapon, and if you're fully free to play, I would say just skip her and get Mint. But that's a personal decision, right? I'm not going to tell you how to use your pulls. So 1 Anima Cat DPS of your choice plus Cheese, those are going to be the foundations for your 2 teams. Then for other characters you're going to want to build, on stages that use 2 teams, the first floor always has the mob stage, and the second part is always the boss stage. And for that first part, you're going to want someone who can group mobs. The 2 best units in the game for that are going to be Juyuan and Sakiri. Personally, I decided to get Juyuan with my selector. I don't regret it. She's absolutely amazing, but you know, it's perfectly fine to get Sakiri as well. Those are the 2 best characters, in my opinion, to get for the selector in terms of like characters that are going to be really strong for your team comps. And because they are weak to both Cosmos and Anima on the limited stage, what I would focus on is having 2 teams that can inflict Blossom right now. So maybe one team is main character plus Nonoli, and the other team is Cheese plus Juyuan. Those are perfectly fine teams to clear. And then for other characters you can use, what I would recommend building right now is Hanyul, because Hanyul is off-field DPS, so she's just going to give you attack buff, off-field damage, and then you don't have to worry about her. She's really chill. So for the boss stage, what I have been running has been 0 Nonoli and Hanyul, and Hanyul's just to boost up Nonoli's damage, and then the main character is in there just to apply Blossom and just some extra sub DPS damage. So 3-person team here. You're not going to want to build 8 characters, because I've been talking to my whale friends who are level 40, and the amount of resources you need to go from level 50 to level 60 is absolutely insane. You're not going to have enough resources to fully build 8 characters for a while up to level 60, and you know, I don't know how long we're going to have once we hit that level 60 mark to clear Beyond the Rails. So I would focus on 2 teams of 3 currently. So this is my first team, and then for the other one, I'm using Cheese, Juyuan, and Hathor. I would recommend definitely building Hathor or Skia up because they're just really, really nice in terms of that charge effect. And Hathor just deals insane amounts of damage too. So definitely recommend a couple of those. So that's my recommendation. You're definitely not going to have a ton of resources if you're free to play light spender to have 2 teams of 4 for a while. So just focus on those 3-person teams. Don't feel the FOMO to build 2 full teams because, well, we're not going to have the resources for that. So definitely 2 teams of 3, and you can even get by with a team of 2 if you want, where you can just use like Nonali plus Hanyul. That will work perfectly fine as well. The last thing I want to talk about in terms of things that I regret and what I highly recommend you should do is that these Gift from 21 in the area, they don't show up on the map like the Oracle Stones are. You know, there's not like a device that's going to show where all of them are. So when you see them on the map, mark them because the map doesn't remember where there are, and it's not like the stones where you can make a huge AoE radius. And, you know, once you get it down to like you only need 5, but there's like this giant area, you don't want to spend like an hour walking around. So when you see them on the map, but you're not going to get them, mark them. And that's just going to save you a lot of time later on. Because personally, right now, I don't want to go out of my way and get them. And, you know, that's costing me resources. And I think on one area, I don't have the maximum amount of pulls. So definitely mark those bad boys. So personally, those are my biggest mistakes I've made on my account. And although they're a little small, there are kind of things that will halt my progress for a few days. So hopefully me telling you what they were and how I would have done differently will help you progress your accounts. Let me know in the comments if there's anything that you sort of messed up on that you wish you did differently. And be sure to subscribe for more Neverness to Everness content. See you guys next time.